Okay, now let's start with CARO 2020. I again tell you, as per section 143 subsection 11, central government has a power to order additional reporting. The auditor has to report on additional matters. If CG has ordered, they have a power under section 143.11. So based on power under section 143.11, CG has came out with one order. Based on power under section 143.11, CG has came out with one order, Companies Auditor Report Order, CARO. Earlier it was 2016, now it's 2020. So they came out with CARO 2020. There are 21 clauses which are to be additionally reported if CARO is applicable. Yes, CARO 2020, there are 21 clauses. So if CARO is applicable, auditor has to additionally report on this 21 items. Now, sir, this CARO 2020 came when? Now, practically, it is applicable for financial year commencing from 1/4/21. It's applicable for financial year commencing from 1/4/21. So in simple words, it is applicable for the year 21-22. It's applicable for the year 21-22 to March 22's balance sheet. March 22, 31st March 22's balance sheet, whenever we are reporting, and if CARO is applicable, we are required to report on additional 21 matters. Now, sir, what was before March 22's balance sheet? Say March 21 balance sheet. Now, March 21 balance sheet, CARO 16 is applicable. In CARO 2016, there were 16 clauses which are to be additionally reported if CARO is applicable. Okay, so practically, we don't have any audit report where CARO 2020 is there. Yeah, because it will be for the balance sheet as at 31st March 22. ICAI, we are in 21. The balance sheet as at 31st March 22, auditor will report on additional matters as per CARO 2020. As of today, CARO 2016 practically will be there. Okay, now for your May 21 exams, CARO 2020 is not applicable. Yeah, May 21 exams, CARO 2020 not applicable. It will be applicable from November 21 exams. So as per the power given under section 143.11, CG has came out with one order requiring additional reporting to be done by a chartered accountant, and that order is called Companies Auditor Report Order, CARO 2020. Okay, let's move it. Very important. I'm telling you, CARO is very important theoretically. Exam point of view, 1 or 2 question definitely comes out of it. The next 16 pages, definitely 1 or 2 question will come. And practically also, very, very important. Okay, that's divided in 4 para. The CARO is divided in 4 paragraph. Para 1, short title, application, commencement. So what is the heading? Companies Auditor Report Order 2020. It's a short title. Short nahi hai, lamba hai, but still short title. It's applicable to whom? It's applicable to whom? And commencement, from which date it will be applicable. Para 2 is auditor's report to contain matters specified in para 3 and 4. So if CARO is applicable, para 2 says, if CARO is applicable, para 2 says you're required to report on the matters given in para 3 and 4. Para 3 contains the 21 clauses. The 21 items we have to mandatorily report if CARO is applicable. And para 4 says if answer to any of the thing is negative, like when we are reporting on 21 clauses, if answer to anything is negative, we are required to give reasons. So para 1 talks about short title, it's applicable to whom and from which date. Para 2 says if CARO is applicable, report on the matters given in para 3 and 4. Para 3 contains the 21 clauses, matters which are to be included. And para 4 says if answer to any of the thing is negative, you have to give reasons. And CARO is additional reporting requirement. CARO is additional reporting requirement. We report on balance sheet P&L, whether it shows a true and fair view, that remains. We report on 143 subsection 1, 6 matters. 143 subsection 1, 6 matters. We have to inquire mandatorily, report only if there are adverse comment. That will remain. We have 143 10 matters, mandatory reporting. 143 10 matters, mandatory reporting, that all will remain. This is additional reporting if CARO is applicable. Okay, let's start para 1. Market is important. It's actually written. Para 1. The title is Company's Auditor Report Order 2020. It's applicable to every company, including a foreign company. It's applicable to every company, including foreign company which is registered in India. To them also it's applicable, except it's not applicable to whom? Banking company, insurance company, Section 8 company, OPC small company. Okay, that not apply to banking, insurance, Section 8, OPC small company, and private limited company which is not a subsidiary or a holding of public company. Private limited company which is not a subsidiary or holding company of a public company and which fulfills all the following condition. Okay, the private company fulfilling all the following condition. Private company fulfilling all following condition is exempted from CARO. So CARO applies to all company except this. So private limited company fulfilling all following condition, CARO exempted. Any condition not fulfilled, CARO becomes applicable. Okay, so any condition not fulfilled, CARO becomes applicable. Private limited company fulfilling all the following condition is exempted. Paid up capital and reserves and surplus. The paid up capital and reserves and surplus does not exceed 1 crore on the balance sheet date. That is last day of the year. Paid up capital and reserves and surplus does not exceed 1 crore as at the last day of the year. Total borrowings from banks and financial institution. Okay, total borrowings from any banks and financial institution. Only banks and financial institution, not individual. You have taken a loan from individual Mr. A. No, that don't count. Only bank or financial institution. The total borrowing from bank or financial institution does not exceed 1 crore. Now, at any point of time during the financial year, at any point of time during the financial year. Okay, the paid up capital and reserve surplus, we have to see of last date. Borrowings from any bank or financial institution does not exceed 1 crore at any time during the financial year. And total revenue as per Schedule 3. Now, total revenue is revenue from operation plus other income. Total revenue. It is revenue from operations plus other income. The total revenue as per Schedule 3 does not exceed 10 crore during the financial year. And one thing, all limits are of current year. Limits are of current year. Okay, so all three conditions satisfied. Paid up capital and reserve surplus does not exceed 1 crore at the end of financial year. Total borrowings from banks and financial institution does not exceed 1 crore at any time during the financial year. And total revenue as disclosed under Schedule 3 does not exceed 10 crore during the financial year. The private limited company fulfilling all three conditions, for them CARO is not applicable. If any condition violated, CARO becomes applicable. And if CARO is applicable, company doesn't have to do anything. If CARO is applicable, company doesn't have to do anything. Auditor has to report on matters given under para 3 and 4. The auditor's report will contain additional reporting on the 21 clauses which are given. Clear with this? Okay. Now, I just have a few notes over here. Like number 1, your reserves and surplus will include all reserves and surplus. Okay, the capital reserve, revaluation reserve, securities premium, anything, it will include all reserves and surplus. It will include all reserves and surplus. So what if P&L debit balance is there? P&L debit balance, if it is there, it will appear as negative under reserves and surplus only. The P&L debit balance, yes, it will be deducted in full. Okay, the P&L debit balance is shown as negative under reserves and surplus. So, while calculating paid up capital plus reserves and surplus, it will be deducted. The P&L debit balance, you deduct it. Net, I have to take the reserves and surplus in full. Now earlier in CARO 16, the P&L debit balance was deducted to the extent of revenue reserves available. So earlier P&L debit balance was deducted to the extent of revenue reserves available. Now it will be deducted in full. You want paid up capital plus reserves and surplus. P&L debit balance है तो वो reserve surplus negative है. Take them as negative only. So while calculating paid up capital plus reserves and surplus, it will be deducted in full. Okay. Number 2, we have to take borrowings from banks and financial institution. Borrowings from any individual or borrowings from other than banks and financial institution. Say individual. Say individual or from any firm. Or from any company will not be considered. The borrowings from other than banks and financial institutions, say from an individual or a firm or a company. From an individual or a firm or a company, they are not considered. I can have a borrowing from individual or a firm or a company, say for example of more than 1 crore also. But while calculating whether CARO is applicable or not, see the limits of borrowing from banks and financial institutions, and that too any time during the financial year. Now this all is private limited company के लिए. For public company, CARO mandatory applies. For public company, CARO mandatory applies. Only for private limited company, if they fulfill all the following condition, CARO is exempted. Only for private company, if they fulfill all following condition, CARO is exempted. Okay, next, total revenue. Okay, total revenue includes revenue from sales, revenue from operation plus other income. Revenue from operation plus other income. Under revenue from operations, sales should be net of GST. Sales should be net of GST sales should be net of trade discount. Sales should be net of GST. Sales should be net of trade discount. Under Ind AS, it should be net of cash discount as well. Under Ind AS, the cash discount is deducted from top line only. AS में cash discount is an expenditure, comes in P&L, discount allowed. Under AS, accounting standard, the cash discount is an expenditure. Under Ind AS, the cash discount is deducted from sales only. The sales should be net of GST. It should be net of trade discount. Ind AS में it should be net of cash discount as well. And sales should be net of sales return. Sales should be net of sales return. Sales return pertains to goods sold in which year? Is of no use. Okay. Pay attention. Goods were sold in last year. Return comes in this year. Goods were sold in last year. Return comes in this year. If return comes in this year, we deduct from this year's sale. I repeat, if return comes in this year, we deduct from this year's sale. It relates to goods sold of last year, is of no use. So sales return pertain to goods sold in which year? I just forgot the word sold. Is of no use. So whether they were sold in last year or whether they were sold in this year doesn't matter. Whether they were sold in last year or this year doesn't matter. Return came in this year. I repeat, return came in this year. Deduct from this year's sales while calculating revenue from operations. While calculating revenue from operations, sales should be net of GST. Sales should be net of trade discount. For Ind AS, it should be net of cash discount as well. It should be net of sales return. Sales return relates to goods sold in which year? That's of no use. If return came in this year, it's deducted from this year's sale. Okay. This is para 1. This is para 1 and it's applicable from financial year commencing 1/4/21. Earlier it was 1/4/20. Now it's applicable from 1/4/21. Okay, so they have postponed the applicability. Earlier it was applicable from 1/4/20 onwards. Now they've postponed to 1/4/21 onwards. Okay, that's applicable to all companies, including foreign company, except banking company, insurance company, electricity company, Section 8 company, Okay, banking, insurance, not electricity. Okay, not electricity. Banking, insurance, Section 8 company. One person company, small company, private limited company which fulfills all the following condition. But the private limited company should not be a subsidiary or a holding of a public company. If it's a subsidiary or a holding of a public company, then CARO is mandatory applicable. So all public companies, CARO is mandatorily applicable. So if CARO applicable, what should company do? Nothing. Who has to do? Auditor. Yes, if CARO is applicable, auditor has to report on additional 21 matters in his audit report. Okay, let's move ahead. Illustration 1. CA Vishram is appointed as a branch auditor of VVK Limited. Okay, you are appointed as branch auditor of VVK Limited. Okay, do I need to report on CARO matters? I'm just a branch auditor, not a main auditor. I'm just a branch auditor, I'm not a main auditor. Is CARO applicable only for audit report issued by principal auditor? Is CARO applicable only for audit report of principal auditor? Now see, pay attention. Principal auditor has audited HO. Principal auditor has audited HO. If that company CARO is applicable, a principal auditor has to report on 21 matters. But he knows only about HO. What about things at branches? So whenever he is reporting, he is not reporting on HO. Principal auditor is not reporting only on HO. He has audited only HO, but he is reporting on entire company. As he is reporting on entire company, he should know how the 21 matters were at branches. He should know the main auditor reports on overall company. He has audited only the HO. So he should know how this 21 matters were at branches. So whether CARO applies to branch audits? Answer is yes. So CARO is applicable for branch audit as well if it is applicable to entire company. So if it's applicable to entire company, if it's applicable to the company, it applies for branch audit as well. The branch auditor will report on 21 matters. How he found out that 21 matters in branch. तो branch में वो 21 matters कैसे थे, he will report. And that report goes to principal auditor. Principal auditor will report on 21 matters for entire company. If it is applicable to the entire company, whether CARO applies to branch audit? Yes. ABC Private Limited. ABC Private Limited is a holding company of XYZ Limited. Okay, this is private limited. You are a holding company of a XYZ Limited. This is a public company. Okay, so private company which is a subsidiary or a holding of a public company, to them CARO is applicable. So whether CARO is applicable, answer is yes. Yes, CARO is applicable. Why applicable? Private limited company which is a holding company of public company will be regarded as public company. Okay, so private limited company which is not a holding or a subsidiary of public company and which fulfills all the following condition, they are exempted. Private company fulfilling certain condition and which is not a subsidiary or a holding of a public company, they are exempted. Okay, next. BK Limited, a benefit fund registered under NBFC. Okay, so BK Limited is NBFC for past 2 years. It's an NBFC for past 2 decades, not years. 31st December 11. 31st December 11. Company got converted into bank. Okay, 31st December, make it 21. 11 ki jagah, make it 21. December 21, it got converted into bank. Okay, so now, during the year, you were NBFC. Middle of the year, you got converted into bank. Last day of the year, you are a bank. Now, CARO is not applicable to banking company. CARO is not applicable to banking company. It applies to NBFCs. CARO applies to NBFCs. Banking companies are exempted. So part of the year you are NBFC, then you got a banking license. Part of the year you are NBFC, you got a banking license, you got converted into bank. Last day of the year you are a bank. Whether CARO is applicable. Part of the year NBFC, part of the year bank, whether CARO is applicable. Answer is no. CARO is not applicable as BK Limited is a banking company. As at the reporting date. It's a banking company as at the balance sheet date, that is 31st March 22. It's a bank. Okay, CARO exempts banking company. Sir, part year NBFC, no, last day ko bank the, it will not apply. No, sir, don't have to see any time during the year. Don't have to see any time during the year. See, any time during the year was only for this loans from banks and financial institution does not exceed 1 crore at any time. Any time is only for that. Any time is only for this point. Any time is only for this point. And it's only for whether to private companies it will apply or not, uske liye tha. If you are a bank as on the last date, to you it does not apply. If you are a bank on last date, to you it does not apply. Banking companies are exempted. NBFCs are not exempted from CARO. Okay, let's just write over here. NBFCs are not exempted. Only banking companies are exempted. Non-banking finance companies are not exempted. Still we are in para 1. Next, question number 4. CA Bhava is an auditor of BB Private Unlimited. Okay, you are auditor of BB Private Unlimited. Okay. You have turnover 3 crores. Oh, less than 10. Turnover does not exceed 10 crores. Loans from bank and financial institution 23 lakh does not exceed 1 crore. Paid up capital and reserves is 48 lakh does not exceed 1 crore. So all the conditions are satisfied. Your turnover doesn't exceed, loan from bank and financial institution doesn't exceed, paid up capital reserve doesn't exceed, whether CARO is applicable. Now, if you go and see the word private limited company, fulfilling all the following condition is exempt. This is private unlimited company. So whether CARO is applicable, so I write down over here, CARO is applicable. CARO is applicable. Now sir, why CARO is applicable? I write down over here. Para 1 exempts private limited companies fulfilling all the conditions given. Private limited company, BB private unlimited is there. Here it is BB private unlimited. It's not private limited, it's private unlimited. Okay, next question. See, whenever such question comes, explain the applicability para. Don't write only the conclusions. Conclusions never carry marks. Conclusion is only for 1 mark. 3 to 4 marks are always for writing the provision. So write down the provision properly, then go to conclusion. So first explain provision, second para, correlate question with the provision, and third para is conclusion. Next, paid up capital 60 lakh, revaluation reserve 20, capital reserve 22, P&L debit balance 4. Okay, so paid up capital plus reserve is equal to 60 plus 20 plus 22 minus 4. P&L debit balance should be fully deducted. 60 plus 20 plus 22 minus 4, it comes 98. Therefore, CARO is not applicable. We are assuming it's for private companies. Not applicable if private limited company also satisfies other condition. Also satisfies other condition. Other conditions are satisfied, CARO is not applicable. Next, company has borrowed 160 lakh on 5th June, repaid entire loan before year end. Okay, you repaid entire loan before year end. Whether CARO is applicable, answer is yes. CARO is applicable. Loans and borrowings from, I assume it's from banks and financial institutions are to be seen at any time during the financial year. Are to see at any time during the financial year. So 5th June we had borrowed 160 lakh. At any point of time during the year, did it exceed 1 crore? Yes. At any point of time, did it exceed 1 crore? Yes. Next, T Private Limited. T Private Limited has paid up capital and reserve less than 100 lakhs. Okay, paid up capital and reserve less than 100 lakhs. No loans from banks and financial institution. Now, total revenue as per Schedule 3. Total revenue as per schedule 3. What is the total revenue as per schedule 3? Sales is 12 crores. I just write in lakhs, 1200 lakhs. Before deducting trade discount. So we deduct 20 is trade discount. And sales return 190. 190 is sales return. 190 is sales return. And company rendered a services. So plus services is 20 lakhs. Services is 20 lakhs. This is equal to. So 1200 was before deducting trade discounts and sales return. You deduct it. 1200 is before deducting trade discount and sales return. Sales should be net of trade discount. Sales should be net of sales return. The minus 20 minus 190. So this is sales coming 990. Services you have given 20 plus service is 20. This is coming as 1010 lakh. 1010 lakhs greater than 10 crore. This is greater than 10 crores. Okay, so therefore CARO is applicable. Therefore CARO is applicable. CARO is applicable. Paid up capital reserve less than 100 lakhs. No loans. So first two criteria satisfied, last one not satisfied. Private company is exempted from CARO if all the criterias are satisfied. Next, Asta Private Limited. Okay, Private Limited. It's a private limited. Paid up capital is 140 lakh. Oh, paid up capital exceeds 1 CR. So CARO is applicable. No need to read other things. CARO is applicable as paid up capital plus reserves and surplus exceed 1 crore. No need to read other things. It's fine. Ninth one. Okay, the seventh one was good, important. Seventh one was good, important. Ninth. Okay, for the purpose of assessing applicability of CARO, which or what kind of loans need to be considered? Okay, we consider loan from banks and financial institution. So loan from bank and financial institution we consider. It can be short term, it can be long term, it can be any form. It can be term loan, demand loan, export credit, cash credit, overdraft, anything. And in the form of term loan, demand loan, export credit, ESR, anything it can be. Okay, so loan from bank or financial institution, I need to cover. Short term, long term, everything has to be covered. And outstanding balance at any point of time should not exceed 1 crore. Now question, sir, bank has given a guarantee on my behalf. Bank has given a guarantee on my behalf to someone. Should I include in loans and borrowings from bank? Bank has given guarantee on your behalf. उसको बोलते हैं नॉन फंड बेस्ड फैसिलिटी. उसको क्या बोलते हैं? नॉन फंड बेस्ड फैसिलिटी. They not funded you. They not given you money. They've given a guarantee for you. Or bank has given a letter of credit. Bank has given a letter of credit, LC. That's also a type of guarantee on behalf of you. So whether that non-fund based facilities are to be included. Okay, the non-fund based facility, guarantees given by bank on our behalf. On our behalf, they have given guarantee. non-fund based facility. If there's a non-fund based facility, should I include in borrowings only to the extent it has devolved and converted into fund based credit facility? Okay, only to the extent it has devolved and converted into fund based facility. Sir, ये क्या है? ये क्या है? Okay, they gave a guarantee on your behalf. You defaulted. If you defaulted, they would have paid the money. So now, earlier it was a guarantee. Now they have paid the money on your behalf. They have to take it from you. The non-fund based facilities normally are not included. Non-fund based facilities are not included in borrowing, but if such facility have devolved and have been converted into fund based facility, so you bank gave a guarantee on your behalf, you defaulted, so now bank paid the money. You defaulted, bank had given a guarantee, they paid, so now they have to collect from you. So now that non-fund based is converted into fund based. So when we defaulted, bank has paid on our behalf. Now we need to pay to bank. So it has devolved and has been converted into fund based credit facility. Okay, this is para 1. So this was your para 1. It is applicable to all companies including foreign companies except banking company, insurance company, section 8 company, small company, OPC, private limited company fulfilling all the following condition. Public companies, CARO will be mandatory. Public companies, CARO will be mandatory. Only private limited companies fulfilling all following condition. 1. Paid up capital and reserves does not exceed 1 crore at the end of the financial year. Borrowings from banks and financial institution does not exceed 1 crore at any time during the financial year. And total revenue as per Schedule 3 does not exceed 10 crore during the financial year. Now para 2 says, if CARO is applicable, auditor's report should contain matters which are specified in para 3 and 4. So we need to report on the matters given in para 3 and 4. Now question. Imagine the company which we audit, they also have a subsidiary. Okay, company which we are auditing, they have a subsidiary. So now we will report on parents standalone and we'll also report on parents CFS. So we'll be reporting on parents standalone financial statement and we'll also be reporting on consolidated financial statement. So we'll give 2 reports. Standalone ka, consolidated ka. Whether I should report on CARO matters in standalone audit report and consolidated ka audit report both. So CARO 21 matters are to be reported in standalone ka audit report. I'm reporting on standalone financial statement and I'm reporting on consolidated financial statement. Whether I need to include 21 matters in both the report, they say no. CARO shall not apply to audit report on consolidated financial statement except clause 21. Okay, so when I am reporting on consolidated financial statement, standalone of parent CARO is there, standalone of subsidiary CARO is there, but when I am reporting on consolidated financial, the standalone of parent, yes, CARO reporting is there. Standalone of subsidiary, CARO report is there. But when I am reporting on CFS, I don't have to report on CARO matters except clause 21. I hope you are clear. And clause 21 just says, are there any negative comments in any standalone reports of parent or subsidiaries? Are there any negative comment? अगर वो negative comment है, that you put it in CFS. So CARO does not apply. The reporting on this 21 matters does not apply when I am reporting on consolidated financial statement. But exception, clause 21 will apply. Okay, now comes para 3, the most important. The full para 3 important. full para 3 important. 1 or 2 question out of CARO is mandatory. So imagine 16 pages gives you 5 to 10 marks. It's a good deal यार. 16 pages giving me 10 marks. तो 100 marks के लिए 160 पेज कहाँ है? We have 900 pages. ये 16 pages giving you 5 to 10 marks is a good deal. Okay, so if CARO is applicable, we are required to report on this 21 matters. The matters given under para 3 and 4. So which are the matters which I have to report? Number 1, fixed asset. And so do I need to report generally? Fixed asset, show a true and fair view. Can I report like that? No. Whatever points are given, ditto as it is they are reported. So you don't have to just remember headings. Oh, fixed asset, number 2, inventory, number 3, intercorporate loans, investment guarantees. No, not just heading. I have to remember inside also. So I don't have to report generally fixed asset shows a true and fair view. No, I have to report this points as it is. Okay, so under that A. In that A there are 2 points, A and B. Whether company is maintaining proper records. Whether company is maintaining proper records showing full particulars, including quantitative details and situation of PP. So whether company is maintaining proper records showing full particulars including quantitative detail. तो क्या proper record, a fixed asset register is kept showing full particular including quantitative detail. How many quantity? Okay, air condition 5 units, laptops 3 units. So full particulars including quantitative detail and situation. Oh, so air condition 5. 1 fitted in classroom 1, 1 fitted in classroom 2, 1 fitted in classroom 3, 1 fitted in classroom 4. Situation of PP. Similarly, whether company is maintaining proper record showing full particulars of intangible asset. Okay, so whether company is maintaining proper records showing full particulars, quantitative detail and situation of PP. And whether they are maintaining proper records showing full particulars of intangible. Now intangible mein you can't write situation. Yeah, they are not tangible. The word situation, quantitative detail is not written under intangible, because intangible is you can't see, you can't touch, you can't count. That's why including quantitative detail and situation is missing. Including quantitative detail and situation is not written for intangible. यहाँ पे word है including quantitative detail and situation. Here it is not there. Okay, second. Now just tell me, who has to physically verify the fixed assets at regular interval? Who has to physically verify fixed asset at regular interval? Sir, management. Correct. It's the management responsibility to ensure fixed assets are physically verified at reasonable interval. So यहाँ पे we have to report. यहाँ पे we have to report whether this PP, intangibles can't be physically verified. Intangibles can't be physically verified. Intangible assets can't be physically verified. So whether the PP have been physically verified by management at a reasonable interval, whether the PPE has been physically verified by management at reasonable interval, whether any material discrepancies noticed on such verification. So whether they have been physically verified by management at a reasonable interval, whether any material discrepancies were noticed, and if so, whether they have been properly dealt with in the books of accounts. तो क्या physical verification management ने किया? If so, whether any material discrepancy was found out, If yes, whether it's properly dealt with in the books of accounts. Okay, C. Okay, you have to report as it is, ditto line to line. Yeah, ditto line to line. C point. Whether the title deeds of all the immovable property, if it's a leasehold property, there will be a lease deed. Leasehold property may there will be a lease deed. So whether the title deeds of all immovable property which are disclosed in financials, the financials may whichever are immovable property, the title deeds are held in the name of company. Title deeds are held in the name of company. If not, provide the details thereof. Okay, so whether the title deeds of immovable property which are disclosed in financials are held in the name of company. If not, provide the detail. Description of property, uska gross carrying amount, it's held in the name of. It's held in the name of whom? Whether he is a promoter, director or the relative or their employee. So whether he is a promoter, director, relative hai, employee hai. Please indicate the range, period. Since how much time it's held in their name. Since how much time held in their name. Since how much time held in their name, and reason why it's held in their name, why not in company's name, why it's held in their name, why not in company's name, that you are required to stay. And if there is a dispute going on, that also you mention. Okay, this is C point. So whether the title deeds of immovable property are held in the name of the company, if not, give the details. Okay, D. Whether the company has revalued its PPE or intangible or both during the year. Whether we have done a revaluation. If so, whether the revaluation is based on report of registered valuer. If so, whether the revaluation is based on valuation by registered valuer, and specify the amount of change if change is 10% or more. Okay, so this is one. If so, whether revaluation is based on valuation by registered valuer, and you are also required to specify the amount of change if it is 10% or more. Okay, so actually in this point there are 3 points. Whether the company has revalued PPE or intangibles or both during year. If so, whether the revaluation is as per the valuations of registered valuer, and also specify the amount of change if it is 10% or more. And E point, whether any proceeding have been initiated or are pending against the company. Any proceeding is initiated or are pending against the company for holding any benami property. Not in your name, benami. Benami property under Benami Transaction Prohibition Act. And if so, whether the company has appropriately disclosed the details in financials. If so, whether the company has appropriately disclosed the details in financials. It's benami property which you are not basically having in your books. Books में नहीं था, वो बेनामी है. Black money से purchase किया हुआ. Yeah, black money से your purchase not appearing in your financials. That's benami property. So if any proceedings are going on, uska details are to be disclosed in financials. So proceedings ka details are to be disclosed in financials. This is one fixed asset. 21 clauses mandatory reported. 21 clauses mandatory reported. Now, what I'll try to remember. Sir, इतना सारा कैसे याद रखेंगे? हो जाएगा, don't worry. So don't try to remember each and every line fully. Try to remember the key words. Like first वाले में था proper records relating to PPE, proper records relating to intangibles. Second वाले में था physical verification done by management at reasonable interval. Third वाले में था title deeds whether they are in the name of company or not. Fourth वाले में whether there any revaluation is done for PPE or intangibles. And last वाला whether any benami property पे proceedings are going on. So 5 points. I try to first basically remember the main crux. Now, when you read this sentences 2-3 times, automatically almost similar language will come. तो पहले तो मेन हेडिंग्स याद रखो. फिक्स्ड एसेट के अंदर 5 पॉइंट्स. विच वर द 5 पॉइंट्स? प्रॉपर रिकॉर्ड्स, फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन डन बाय मैनेजमेंट एट रीजनेबल इंटरवल, टाइटल डीड्स आर हेल्ड इन द नेम ऑफ कंपनी, revaluation, and fifth one was proceedings related to benami property. So that mean ab when you read this thing 2-3 times, automatically similar language will come. Okay, the first, whether company is maintaining proper records showing full particular including quantitative details and situation of PP, whether company is maintaining proper records showing full particulars of intangible. यहाँ पे words including quantitative detail situation is not there because intangible है, उसका कोई situation नहीं होता. Second, whether PPE has been physically verified. Intangibles cannot be physically verified. So whether PPE has been physically verified by management at a reasonable interval. Whether any material discrepancies has been identified. If so, whether they have been properly dealt with in financial statement. Third one, whether the title deeds of all the immovable property, if lease property है तो lease deed होगा, तो title deeds या lease deed of all the immovable property disclosed in financial statement are held in the name of company. If not, give the details. Fourth, whether the company has revalued its PPE or intangible or both during the year. If so, whether the revaluation is as per the valuation by registered valuer, and also specify the amount of change if it is 10% or more. Whether any proceeding is going on against the company or it's pending against the company for any benami property. If yes, uska detail should be disclosed in financials. Okay, this was fixed asset. Ditto similar way you are required to report. यहाँ पे जैसे 5 clause थे, in CARO 16. In CARO 16, there were only 3 clauses. Okay, let me just go to one of the audit report. I'm just taking one audit report for your reference. Infosys 1819. I'm taking Infosys 1819. This is the standalone financial statement. Just pay attention. I know it's not visible. I'll be reading out. Don't worry. Okay. I just have over here. Okay. Pay attention. As required by Companies Auditor Report Order 2016, issued by Central Government, in terms of Section 143.11, we give in Annexure B a statement on the matters given in para 3 and 4 of the order. If CARO is applicable, we have to report on the matters given in para 3 and 4 of the order. This audit report. Deloitte is basically the partner, the auditor. Deloitte Haskins and Sales LLP. Now, if I just go to Annexure B, they say we have given in Annexure B. Okay, this is Annexure B to audit report. I know it's not visible, just pay attention. I'll be speaking out. Okay, earlier there were 16 matters, now there are 21 matters. Now first one was fixed asset. Now also fixed asset. Earlier there were 3 points, now there are 5 points. The first was whether company has maintained proper record showing full particular including quantitative detail and situation of fixed asset. The question था whether company has maintained. We have to answer. The company has maintained. Question था whether the company has maintained. So we are answering. The company has maintained proper record showing full particular including quantitative detail and situation of fixed asset. Now this point they bifurcated. PPE separate, intangible separate. PPE में quantitative detail situation is written. Intangible में quantitative detail situation is not written. Now goodwill में क्या quantity? गुडविल में क्या क्वांटिटी है? टीवी, फ्रिज, फर्नीचर, एसी, उसमें क्वांटिटी होता है. मशीन, बसेस, कार्स, तो उसमें क्वांटिटी. इंटेंजिबल में क्वांटिटी कैन नॉट बी देयर, सिचुएशन कैन नॉट बी देयर, दैट्स व्हाई दे हैव रिमूव्ड दैट. ओके, सेकंड, तो whether the physical verification of PPE is done by management at reasonable interval. Now word they've used is PPE. Earlier they were using fixed asset. The company has a program of verification to cover all fixed asset in a phased manner, which in our opinion is reasonable having regard to the size and nature of asset. So we have to report now whether physical verification is done by management at reasonable interval. So they do in a phased manner, which according to us is reasonable. So pursuant to program, certain fixed assets were verified by management during the year, and according to the information given, no material discrepancies were noticed. So one, we have to inform or report whether any material discrepancies were noticed. If yes, whether they are appropriately dealt with in financials. So according to information explanation given to us, no material discrepancies were noticed. And third was title deeds. Title deeds are held in the name of company or not. So they've written. See, we have to report now. According to information explanation given to us, the records examined by us, and based on examination of conveyance deed, sales deed, etc., we report that the title deeds comprising immovable property of land building which are freehold are held in the name of company as at the balance sheet date. Okay, in respect of immovable property which are taken on lease, the lease agreements are in the name of company. See, ditto that points only. Revaluation point was not there, Benami property wala point was not there under CARO 16. CARO 2020 में 5 points. But we are not required to write general, we have to write ditto as it is. Okay, let's go. This was just to show you. This Infosys ka audit report. This Infosys audit report 18-19 ka hai. That I have taken. 1920 also is CARO 2016, 2021 also is CARO 2016, 21-22 say it will be CARO 2020. Going to the next item. Second, inventory. Now we are required to report whether physical verification of inventory has been conducted by management at reasonable interval, and whether, in our opinion, the coverage and procedure of verification by management is appropriate. The physical verification is conducted at reasonable interval by the management. Upar bhi by the management. So whether they have done physical verification at a reasonable interval, and in our opinion, we have to give opinion whether the coverage and procedure is appropriate, and whether in the opinion of auditor coverage and procedure is adequate. Whether any discrepancy of 10% or more, were noticed, if so, whether they are properly dealt with in books of accounts. So when management counted, if there is a discrepancy of 10% or more, whether it was there, and if yes, whether it's properly dealt with in financial statement. B point, whether during any point of time company has been sanctioned working capital limits. Okay, working capital limit is generally against the security of stock and debtors. Working capital limit is generally against the security of stock and debtors, and you're required to give stock figures to bank. So if you have taken a working capital limit, you have to give stock figures to bank. So whether during any point of time company has been sanctioned a working capital limit in excess of 5 crore in aggregate from banks or financial institution on the security of current asset. So if you have taken working capital limit in excess of 5 crore from bank or financial institution on security of current asset, whether the quarterly returns or statements filed by the company with such bank or financials are in agreement with books of accounts. The stock figure which is there in books and stock figure which is given to them, are they matching or not? That we are required to basically report, if not give details thereof. Now see, I know point number 2 is inventory. I'll try to remember first is physical verification done by management reasonable interval, and second is basically if working capital limits is taken, so quarterly statements furnished to banks and financial institution, uska figure and financials ka figure are matching or not. I'll first try to remember important points, फिर जाऊंगा detail में. Then when you read 2-3 times, automatically language will come. So whether physical verification has been done by management at reasonable interval, and in our opinion whether the procedure and the coverage by management is appropriate or not, and if any discrepancy of 10% or more is noticed, whether it's properly dealt with in financial statement, whether the company has taken at any point of time a working capital limit in exceeding rupees 5 crore and from bank or financial institution on security of current asset, whether the quarterly statements furnished to them, the figures in that and figures in books, whether they are matching or not. याद रखना पड़ेगा. There's no solution to it. You need to remember it. Very important theoretically and practically. Third one, intercorporate loans, investment, guarantees, security. Intercorporate loans, investment, guarantees, security. One company giving loan to other, one company investing in other company, one company giving guarantee for other company, one company giving their asset as security. My asset, I give it as security for your loan. My asset, I give it as security for your loan. So whether during the year company has made investment or provided guarantee security or granted loan. Okay, so it's actually loan given, investment made, guarantee given. I have given a loan. So whether we have made investment, provided guarantee security or granted loan to, whether secured, unsecured, to companies, firm, LLPs or any other parties. So whether the company has made investment, provided guarantee or security or granted any loans or advances. If yes, so I have to report what? Whether during the year company has provided loans or provided advances in nature of loans or stood guarantee or provided security. If yes, so I have to indicate what? Aggregate amount during the year and the balance outstanding at year end with respect of such loans, advances, guarantees to subsidiary joint venture associate. Okay, so if I have granted such loans or given guarantee security, so aggregate amount during the year, like I gave, I took it back, again I gave, I took it back, the aggregate amount given and the closing balance, the aggregate amount given and the closing balance of that loan, security, guarantee to subsidiaries, associates, joint venture. This is to subsidiary, associate, joint venture. This is other than subsidiary, associate, joint venture. This is to subsidiary, associate, joint venture. This is other than subsidiary, associate, joint venture. Same thing. You disclose how much is aggregate amount and closing balance to the subsidiary, associate, joint venture. How much is aggregate amount, closing balance to other than subsidiary, associate, joint venture. B, whether the investment made, guarantee is given, security is given, and the terms and condition of grant of all the loans and the guarantees provided are not prejudicial to the interest of company. So whatever investment we have made or guarantees given or terms and conditions of loans and guarantee, they are not prejudicial to the interest of company. Here I take a loan at 10%, I should not give loan at 8%. I am taking myself at 10. Should I give at 8? If I give at 8, it's prejudicial to the interest of company. Third, C. In respect of loans and advances, which are in nature of loan, whether a schedule of repayment of principal and payment of interest has been specified. Okay, so if it's in nature of loan, a repayment schedule is there, and whether the repayments of repayment or receipts are regular. So how they will pay me interest, how they will pay my principal, is the repayment schedule there. Repayment ka schedule is there, and whether the repayments are regular or not. If amount is overdue, state the total amount overdue for more than 90 days. So if amount is overdue, then what is the amount overdue for more than 90 days? I need to state, and whether the steps taken by company for recovering the amount are reasonable. So whether reasonable steps have been taken by company for recovering the amount. So if amount is overdue, what is the amount overdue for more than 90 days? We'll report that amount. And whether company has taken reasonable step. We'll write, according to us, company has taken reasonable step for recovery. Like company is constantly calling them, they send a notice through lawyer. So we say they are taking reasonable steps. E. Whether any loan or advance which is in nature of loan, which has fallen due during the year. Okay, loan given, it has fallen due during the year and has been renewed, extended, or a fresh loan is granted to settle the overdues of existing loan. So there was a loan given, it is basically due during the year, whether I renewed it, extended it, or I gave a fresh loan so that they are able to repay that existing overdue. If yes, specify the aggregate amount of such dues renewed, extended, or settled by fresh loan. So uska aggregate amount is to be given. Okay. F. Whether the company has granted loans or advances which are either repayable on demand or without specifying any terms or period of repayment. Okay, so any loans are given which are repayable on demand or no terms of repayment are decided. No period, no terms have been decided. If so, what is the aggregate amount? Percentage of such loan. And out of that, how much is granted to promoters and related parties? If it is there, aggregate amount, what is the percentage compared to the total loans? And how much of such loans is granted to promoters, related parties? Now, 6 points. How I'll try to remember. The first one, if I have granted such loans, advances, etc. or given security, the aggregate amount and the balance outstanding for the loans which are to related parties, that is a subsidiary, associate, joint venture, other than subsidiary, associate, joint venture. Second, terms and conditions are not prejudicial to interest of company. Repayment schedule is there, repayments are regular. Overdue amount, I have to report amount overdue for more than 90 days. And whether reasonable steps are taken for recovery. Fifth one, if anything has fallen due, whether that loan is extended, renewed, or I gave a fresh loan to repay the original loan. ऐसा कुछ है? If yes, तो उसका amount. And the last one, if there is a loan given which are repayable on demand, no terms and conditions we have prescribed. No terms and conditions we have prescribed. Then, तो क्या करे? तो ऐसा अगर loan है, तो give the aggregate amount, percentage, and out of that, how much is to promoters, related parties? See, you need to remember. First, try to remember basic points. कौन से आने चाहिए? Then, if you read this 2-3 times, language will be almost similar. Fourth one, again intercorporate loans, investment guarantee security. Sir, why? ये भी था loans, investment guarantee security. ये भी loans, investment guarantee security. Now, this is about the approvals. When you want to give intercorporate loans, investment guarantee security, provisions of section 185, 186 of Companies Act, they are to be complied. So this is related to approvals when you want to give the loan. So whether you need BOD approval, whether you need shareholders approval, so this is related to approvals. Approval लिया था कि नहीं? So section 185, 186 have been complied. This is related to approvals required, like BOD approval, shareholder approval. Up to a limit, BOD can approve. Beyond a limit, shareholders can approve. So what does 185, 186 say? It's not in our syllabus, you will learn in law. Yeah, यहाँ पे just इतना है, we have to report 185, 186 are complied or not. That's it. 185, 186 are complied or not. And I told you, ditto same way we report. This point was also there earlier. It was there in CARO 16, just check. Fourth point. In our opinion, and according to information explanation given to us, company has complied with the provisions of section 185, 186 in respect of grant of loans, making investment, providing guarantees and securities. So same ditto as it is, whatever is basically the point, same way we report. So in our opinion, based on information explanation given to us, the company has complied with the provisions of section 185, 186 for the intercorporate loans, investment, guarantees and securities. Okay. So this is वो था ऊपर amount wise I have to disclose the amounts loans given, how much is to subsidiary, associate, joint venture, other than subsidiary, associate, joint venture, terms are not prejudicial, schedule of repayment is there or not, overdue amount. That was this. This is whether approvals were taken or not. Next, public deposit. Next, public deposit. Now, pay attention. Just as we all make a FD with a bank, we can also have a deposit with a company. Companies can accept public deposit. So just as we all people make a FD, fixed deposit with a bank, we can also deposit our money with company. The company can raise money from public at large by way of public deposits. But it will be always time deposit, not demand deposit. The public cannot withdraw the money whenever they want. It will be a time deposit. So suppose company raises money from public by way of public deposits. If company has raised money from public by way of public deposits, we are required to report. Now see, when you accept money from public as public deposit, you're acting like a bank. Yeah, you're acting like a bank. You're taking money from people. The directions of RBI needs to be complied. Then we have section 73 to 76 of Companies Act, which is to be complied. So that is what is given. In respect of deposit accepted by company or amount which are deemed to be deposits, whether the directives of RBI and the provisions of section 73 to 76 have been complied. If not, the nature of contravention. And if any specific order is passed against your company, if any specific order is passed against your company by company law board or national company law tribunal or RBI or any court, whether that order has been complied. Okay, if you have taken public deposits, directions of RBI, section 73 to 76 have been complied or not. If not, nature of contravention. And if any order is passed against your company by NCLT or company law board, earlier there was company law board, now there is NCLT, or RBI or court, whether that order is complied or not. I have to just answer this. If company has not taken deposit, we'll write company has not accepted any deposit from public. Accordingly, this clause is not applicable. So even if clause is not applicable, write down. Okay, the check. Infosys ka audit report. the company has not accepted any deposits during the year and does not have any unclaimed deposit as at last day of the year. Therefore, this clause is not applicable. Next, cost records. Whether maintenance of cost record have been specified by central government under section 148 subsection 1. So whether for your class of company, central government has specified maintaining costing record. Okay, the certain classes of companies are required to maintain costing record. So whether CG has notified your class of company to maintain the costing record? If yes, whether such costing records are made and maintained. Okay, I have to report whether for our company costing records are specified. If yes, whether such costing records are made and maintained. Okay, now we don't have to do detailed audit of costing records. We just have to report whether they are made and maintained. I just write over here a note. We do not have to do detailed audit of costing records. We don't have to do detailed audit of costing records. We just have to report whether they are made and maintained. This will be based on prima facie checking. I just see prima facie and I'll say whether they are made and maintained. I don't have to do detailed audit of costing record. That's not our work. I don't have to do detailed audit of costing record. I just have to say whether they are made and maintained. I'll just see prima facie. Lag raha hai they are made and maintained. That's it. Based on prima facie examination. If you have space, add the word based on prima facie examination. Okay, the number one was fixed asset, inventory, intercorporate loans, investment guarantee security, intercorporate loans, investment guarantee security, public deposit, costing records. Next comes statutory dues. Okay, statutory dues payable to government. What are statutory dues? Dues payable to government as per some statute. That's statutory dues. So we have to report two things. One, whether the company is regular in depositing undisputed statutory dues, including GST, Provident Fund, employee state insurance, income tax, sales tax, service tax, customs, excise, VAT, etc. to appropriate authority. तो पहले general sentence. Whether the company is regular in depositing undisputed statutory dues. Whether the company is regular in depositing undisputed statutory dues to the appropriate authority. If not, the extent of arrears, the amount. तो पहला तो general sentence. Company is regular, or company is generally regular, or company is not regular. First you write down that. And now if not, the amount of arrears as on the last day of the year. So how much is not yet deposited on the last day of the year, which is outstanding for a period exceeding 6 months from the date they became due for payment. Okay, the extent of arrears as on the last day of the year for a period exceeding 6 months from the date they became payable. So it should be outstanding on last day of the year and for a period exceeding 6 months. It should be outstanding on last day of the year and for a period exceeding 6 months. Okay, so I just write over here as a note, it should be outstanding on last day of year and for period exceeding 6 months from the date they become payable. From the date they became payable. Okay, pay attention. If it is not outstanding on last day of the year, no need to report. If it is not outstanding on last day of year, no need to report. And if it is outstanding but for less than 6 months, it is outstanding but for less than 6 months, again no need to report. You have to report the amount. So pehla, whether company is regular in depositing undisputed statutory dues with government authorities. Whether company is regular in depositing undisputed statutory dues with government authorities. And second, uske saath, if not, you have to report the amount which is outstanding on last day and for a period exceeding 6 months from the date they became payable. If it is not outstanding on last day, I paid it on 30th March. Okay, more than 6 months late. But I paid on 30th March. It's not outstanding on last day. It should be outstanding on last day and for a period exceeding 6 months from the date they became payable. Due date says 6 months ho gaya and not paid on 31st March. Sir, April mein pay kiya? Then you report. If it is paid in April next year, still you report because it's outstanding on last day for a period exceeding 6 months. Right over here, if it is paid in next year, say April, before audit report is issued. If it is paid off in April before audit report is issued, then we need to report if it is outstanding for more than 6 months. If it is paid in next year, we need to still report it because it's outstanding on last day of year. It is outstanding on last day of the year. Okay, fact about subsequent payment can also be mentioned. Fact about subsequent payment can be mentioned. If I want to mention that, sir, it has been subsequently paid in April, I can write, but I need to report this amount. Okay, so this was for undisputed statutory dues. One general sentence. Undisputed statutory dues, one general sentence. Whether the company is regular in depositing undisputed statutory dues with appropriate authorities. If not, I'm required to report the amount which is outstanding on last day of the year and for a period exceeding more than 6 months from the date they became payable. Yeah, from the date they became payable. Due date say 6 months are gone. Okay, now the second point. When statutory due referred to in A have not been deposited on account of dispute. So you're not deposited because of any dispute. ऊपर था undisputed, यहाँ पे dispute है. So if there's a dispute and I have not deposited, there's a dispute, government says this, I don't agree, there's a dispute and I have not deposited. The amount involved in dispute, forum where the dispute is pending. Amount involved in dispute, forum where the dispute is pending has to be mentioned. If you're not deposited, you're not deposited on account of dispute. You have not deposited on account of dispute. Amount involved in forum. कहाँ पे केस चल रहा है? Is the case going on at Commissioner Appeals? Is the case going on at Tribunal, High Court, Supreme Court? Where the case is going? Now pay attention. Pay attention. You got a so-cause notice. You got a so-cause notice from the department. See, first of all, you get a so-cause notice. So-cause notice is department is telling, show us a cause why you should not be liable for this amount. Show us a cause why you should not be liable for this amount. You got a so-cause notice from government. You replied to so-cause notice that, sir, this is the reason why I'm not liable. Like I got a notice. Now I had purchased a flat. I've not sold a flat, purchased. I got a notice from government telling that it appears that you have sold a flat and you are liable to capital gain. Why you are not paid capital gain? Arey yaar bhaiya, I have not sold a flat. I have purchased a flat. I got a notice that it appears you have sold a flat, you are liable to capital gain. Why you are not paying capital gain? So that was a so-cause notice. I replied that, sir, I have not sold the flat, I have purchased the flat, I am not liable for any capital gain. On purchase, appropriate TDS I have deducted and paid. When you purchase an apartment, not from builder, there is a TDS applicable. So I got a show cause notice. Show cause notice, I reply. When you receive a show cause notice, it's not a dispute. I receive a show cause notice, I reply, matter over. If they are not happy with my reply, then they raise a demand notice. If they are not happy with my reply, then they raise a demand notice. And once they raise a demand notice, then I go into appeal. Then it's a dispute. The mere show cause notice received is not a dispute. Show cause notice received from department is not dispute. They send me a so cause notice, I'll reply to so cause notice, matter might be over. If they are not happy with my reply, they raise a demand notice. If they're not happy with reply, they'll raise a demand notice, and then I go to Commissioner Appeal. I appeal against the demand. Then that's a dispute. The mere representation to concerned department, I got a show cause notice, I give a reply, that's not a dispute. Dispute hai, and you're not deposited amount. They raised a demand, you did not pay, you went into appeal. That's, you're not deposited. The amount and the forum where dispute is pending are to be reported. Okay, let me go to Infosys. Yes, Sierra 7th. Okay, this is according to information explanation given to us in respect of statutory dues. The company has generally been regular in depositing undisputed statutory dues with the appropriate authorities. There are no undisputed amount payable. As on the last day of the year which are basically outstanding for a period exceeding 6 months from the date they became payable. Actually, this both are a part of A. This both are a part of A now. And B point, the details of dues which have not been paid on account of dispute. The details of dues which have not been paid on account of dispute, I need to tell the amount and the forum where case is pending. So this is the forum where dispute is pending, and this is the amount. The forum where case is pending, and this is the amount. These two are required. They have given additional. So nature of dues, period to which it relates. Nature of dues, statute कौन सा है? तो nature of dues, income tax. Statute is Income Tax Act. Period to which it relates, amount which is not deposited, 1031 crores. Yeah, thousands crores. 1031 crore not deposited. Case pending is again with the tribunal. So where the case is pending. Ditto as it is, reporting is to be done. This was your point number 7. Going to point number 8. Transaction not recorded in books. Okay, if any transactions were not recorded in books, but during income tax raid or something, you disclosed to them, you surrendered or disclosed as income during the year in tax assessment. So whether it has been properly recorded in your books of accounts. So now you agreed. So now whether that income is now recorded in your books of accounts properly. So if so, so whether it has been properly recorded in your books of accounts now. The previously unrecorded is now properly recorded in your books of accounts. So transaction not recorded in books during income tax raid. You agreed, yes sir, this is my undisclosed income. I have not disclosed it. You surrendered or you disclosed the income. So whether now it is appropriately recorded in books of accounts. 10th, default in repayment of loans and borrowing. Default in repayment of loans and borrowing. Whether the company has defaulted. Whether the company has defaulted in repayment of loans or other borrowing. If yes, period and the amount of default. So whether you defaulted in repayment of loans, borrowings or its interest. If yes, period and amount. And you need to give detail like this. You need to give detail like this. Nature of borrowing. What was the borrowing? Long-term loan, bank overdraft, debentures. So nature of borrowing. Name of lender. Name of lender. So it's lender-wise detail to be given. Amount not paid on due date, whether it's principal or interest. Number of days of delay. And remarks if any. Remarks if any. So whether the company has defaulted in repayment of loans or borrowings. Any lender. It's any lender, not necessary banks or financial institution. It is any lender. Not necessary bank or financial institution. Any lender is the word. If you defaulted, give details. Whether the company is declared as willful defaulter. Whether the company is declared as willful defaulter by bank, financial institution or other lender. Whether the term loan ke money has been applied for the purpose for which they were obtained. If not, the amount so diverted and the purpose where they were used. So whether term loan money is used. I took a loan for buying a machine and I use it for buy a car. I took a loan for buying machine. I used it for buying a car. It will be reported here. Whether funds raised on short-term basis have been used for long-term purpose. Okay, bank OD used for buying a machine. Bank OD used for buying a machine. That's fund raised on short-term basis used for long-term purpose. Example is bank OD used for purchase of machine. So that needs to be reported, which is not correct. Short-term fund should not be used for long-term purpose. because that long term purpose may money will come very slowly, but this I have to repay very fast. So this actually should not be allowed. Whether the company has taken any funds from entity or person to meet the obligation of its subsidiary, associate, joint venture. Okay, so I have taken loan or money from someone, not for me. I have taken loan or money from someone, not for me, but for the obligations of subsidiary, associate, joint venture. If yes, तो उसका detail. Whether the company has raised loan on the pledge of securities held in its subsidiary, associate, or joint venture. Okay, so I took a loan. Security may I gave my shares which I have in subsidiary, associate, joint venture. So I took a loan on pledge of securities held in, means on pledge of shares of the shares which I hold in subsidiary, associate, joint venture. So we have pledged. So in simple words, we have pledged our holding in subsidiary, associate, or joint venture. So whether we have taken loan by pledging, the shares which we have in subsidiary, associate, joint venture. If yes, the details thereof, and whether the company has defaulted in repayment of such loans. Okay, so this was relating to the default in repayment of loans or borrowing. Let me finish till 10, then I'll give you 5 minutes break. I'll finish till 10, then I'll give you 5 minutes ka break. Okay, the first, whether the company has defaulted in repayment of loans or borrowings of any lender. If yes, period and the amount. This way I need to give the detail. Whether company is declared a willful defaulter by bank or financial institution. Whether the term loan money were applied for the purpose for which they are taken. Whether short-term funds have been used for long-term purpose. Whether you have raised funds for meeting the obligations of. Okay, you are raising funds not to meet your obligation. Whether you raise funds to meet the obligations of subsidiary, associate, joint venture, or whether you raise funds by pledging your holdings in subsidiary, associate, joint venture. These were the points given. 10th, last one before break. Utilization of issue proceeds and preferential allotment. Okay, if you come out with the IPO or FPO, whether they were applied for the purpose for which they were raised. If not, uska details. So whether money raised by IPO or FPO. IPO is first time when you go to public. FPO is further public offer. Again you go to public. The money raised by IPO, FPO, whether they are utilized for the purpose for which they were raised. Same way preferential allotment. Okay, preferential allotment is you don't go to public at large. You directly issue shares or debentures to a selected group of people. So this is allotment to selected people, not going to public at large. It's allotment to selected persons, not public at large. This is preferential allotment. If you go for preferential allotment of shares, section 42 is to be complied. If you go for preferential allotment of debentures, 62. The section 42 and 62 have been complied or not. And the funds are used for that purpose. And if not, give the details of non-compliances. Okay, so money, utilization of issue proceeds and preferential allotment, whether the money raised by way of IPO or FPO are applied for the purpose for which they are raised. If not, uska details. If you come out with a preferential allotment or private placement of shares or convertible debentures, requirements of section 4262 are complied or not, and whether they are used for the purpose for which they are raised. If not, uska details. So we are done till 10th point. First one, fixed asset. Number 2 was inventory. Number 3, intercorporate loans, investment guarantee security. Number 4, intercorporate loans, investment guarantee security. ये approval part था. Number 5 was public deposit. Number 6 was costing records. Number 7, statutory dues. Number 8, whether you defaulted. Number 8 was transaction not recorded in book. 9th, default in repayment of loans and other borrowings. And number 10, utilization of issue proceeds and preferential allotment. Just take a break of 5 minutes. 5 minutes ka break, and then we come back and finish off this CARO 2020. Bye. Take care. 5 minutes.